I'm not going to lie, I know it's been a while since PlayStation 5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition pre-orders went up, but still kind of salty about how Sony handled that and just their continued lack of any sort of safety measures and security measures to ensure that they don't continue to empower scalpers. They've been doing that since the launch of the PlayStation 5. Recall that articles were reporting on how, people have been posting photos of acquisitions of PlayStation 5s en masse for the purposes of reselling them at ridiculously marked up prices when supplies for PlayStation 5s were low around its launch period. And that has led to research that has indicated just hundreds of millions of dollars just kind of circulating the PS5 scalping market back in the day. And so you would think that lessons would be learned from this, but with the launch of the PlayStation 5 30th Anniversary Edition, it seemed as though Sony continued to kind of be a little too lax on this front. And what is especially unfortunate about the 30th Anniversary Edition of the PlayStation 5 Pro is how limited this edition is. We're talking about 12,300 units of the limited edition PS5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition package that has gone out for sale. After that, they're not making any more. 12,300 is nothing. It's a minuscule sum compared to the number of PlayStation fans out there who would actually desire this console, this bundle that comes with two controllers, with the special edition covers and whatnot. It is a $9.99 bundle that, justifies its price point with everything that's included in the package, alongside the fact that it just looks really cool and it harkens back to the nostalgia of old school PlayStation players, and it's just like a really nice color scheme. And so for this to be something where not enough security measures were put into place to mitigate scalpers is just, it's extremely frustrating. I actually remember really desiring to buy one of these, but then kind of deciding not to do the whole, wake up at exactly the same time that the pre-orders would go live so I could, go on an hour to 2 hour long journey of trying to refresh a page that I knew just wouldn't work. Lo and behold, on the day of, when I looked at social media and tons of people were reporting issues with the website and securing their order, even when they were there, the second pre-orders went up. This is the package in question, $9.99. As you can see, not only is it attractive and includes a 30th anniversary edition of a regular controller and the Edge controller, the Pro controller for PlayStation 5. It's also got 2 terabytes of storage. It's actually a pretty neat package for those seeking to get a PlayStation 5 Pro, or for those who are fans of PlayStation and would like this very kind of limited collector's item, essentially. But 12,300 just seems like a ridiculous sum. They can definitely make more of these. I don't know why they refuse to do so, but if you're going to make them that limited, you can't create an environment where stuff like this is possible. So PlayStation 5 Pro launched on November 7th, 2024. When pre-orders went up, we were already seeing listings for PlayStation 5 Pro 30th Anniversary Editions on eBay. Now, I did sort this by highest to lowest price, so obviously these price points right here are on the higher end. Utterly ridiculous, tens of thousands of dollars for this. I don't know how they expect any of these to sell. I guess they're expecting a best offer situation where somebody offers significantly less, but still in the thousands of dollars. But as we scroll down, you can see that the prices tend to even out to anywhere between $3,000 to $6,000 is what I've been seeing. But you can see that there are tons of listings for the PlayStation 5 Pro 30th Anniversary Limited Edition bundle. A couple hundred to a couple thousand listings might not sound like a lot if we were talking about millions of units that were being shipped. But when we're talking about 12,300 units in total worldwide being shipped, a couple hundred to a couple thousand makes a huge difference. It is a significant percentage of the total volume, the total supplies of this particular limited edition bundle that is not going to paying customers and is instead going to websites where they're going to try to gouge customers through this loophole broken system that allows them to do this stuff because of companies selling these products just in a way that is not safe enough for stuff like this to be mitigated. Look at this. There's so many of these up on eBay, even now, weeks after the 30th Anniversary Edition has launched. And, there are bound to be people who are going to be tempted to buy this stuff. These consoles were made for PlayStation fans, and those PlayStation fans are being screwed over, being dangled these ridiculous price points. And this is right now the only method to get a PS5 Pro 30th Anniversary Limited Edition bundle. It is sold out on the PlayStation website, where this was originally sold exclusively on, at least for like US and a lot of European regions. This all started when pre-orders went up. I mean, this right here, I was looking at listings from today, but even back in September of 2024, we have been seeing reports and we have been seeing screenshots and videos of the ridiculous price points for some of these listings, and there is no solution with Sony refusing to kind of increase the supply. That'd be one of the solutions, is to make more of these, at least to make up for the fact that they utterly failed in the security measures surrounding this very limited, again, 12,300 units total collector's item that is highly desired, that they should have made so many more of, frankly speaking. Now, Sony was a bit more proactive when they sold this in Japan, when pre-orders for the 30th Anniversary Edition bundle for PS5 Pro went up in Japan. It was a better solution that they should have offered for Western customers. Now, before we get into that, you know what else offers a solution for a pressing issue? The sponsor of today's video, Delete Me, a subscription service dedicated to helping keep your personal information private and safe. Data brokers are constantly out there trying to profit off of selling your personal data to nefarious actors, so it is more important than ever to be proactive about your digital footprint, and that's where Delete Me comes in. With this service, in one fell swoop, you can delete your personal information from search results and hundreds of data broker websites. Everything from your name, age, past and present addresses, photos, email, phone numbers, relatives, social media, occupation, marital status, property value, you name it. Information that could be used in shady ways. I didn't realize just how public my data was until I saw my first report from Delete Me detailing just how many data broker websites had my personal information. It's also worth noting that politically motivated, threatening online behavior does peak at around election cycles like the one we recently saw. So a service like Delete Me that keeps your personally identifiable information from being easily accessed, especially when the volume of personal data per person has tripled between 2019 and 2023. Having a service like Delete Me just adds an extra layer of safety that may be prudent. I also have the security of knowing that Delete Me is constantly active, monitoring sites and removing data as needed, and providing privacy reports every 3 months to keep me in the know about all that stuff. You can even make your own custom requests to have your information removed from specific sources by Delete Me's experts. So if digital privacy is a top priority for you, you can protect your data with Delete Me by using my link, joindeleteme.com/Yong20 and my code Yong20 to get 20% off at checkout, with family plans available as well. You can also find all of this in the description and comment section below. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. So as I was saying, when it comes to how they sold this in Japan, they actually did something that felt kind of smart and that probably help significantly mitigate scalpers in Japan. And right here we have an article from IGN that covered this, and it says it right here on their headline. They actually required the people who pre-ordered the PS5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition to have a PlayStation Network account with at least 30 hours of runtime. And you have to have that runtime between very specific days, between February 2014 and September of 2024. And so what this does is it makes it really difficult for scalpers to circumvent the limit of one order per customer. What scalpers like to do is essentially design bots that will create a bunch of accounts that will act as individual people, fake individual people, so that they can purchase these kinds of collector's editions en masse and then sell them en masse. What this does right here is create certain requirements that only a human could do and set certain limits in terms of between what time periods you can do that human activity before you are cut off. And that makes it so that essentially only human accounts or real accounts that have had legitimate playtime and are and there's legitimate human activity on that account are able to purchase this pre-order for the 30th Anniversary Edition. What they did with the West was essentially all you needed was a PlayStation Network account. And other than that, there were no limitations. So scalpers could very much just make a bunch of accounts last minute, write some programs that made it very easy and extremely fast for them to make purchases with those fake accounts and accrue all of these PlayStation 5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition bundles, which likely greatly contributed to why this particular bundle sold out within essentially seconds. Aside from the limited supply, it's the fact that the demand came from essentially computers and programs that were meant to acquire these very quickly for the scalpers with nefarious intent to jack up prices and make a profit out of Sony's lack of security and out of just this very limited supply for something that is very coveted. The limit right here that says due to high demand, there's a limit of 1 console per order doesn't matter if it's as easy as just making a bunch of accounts and being able to make these purchases willy-nilly. Whereas Japan, at least, there was additional requirements involved that only a human could do, and that could be tracked by PlayStation systems in terms of, how many hours was this account active for between this year, then this month, and this other year, and this other month. And so Japan just had it much better, and I wish that just thought ahead and implemented that in the West, where pre-orders went up first before they went up in Japan, where they implemented these additional measures. And yeah, sure, some of these stricter requirements does mean that if you're like someone very new to the PlayStation ecosystem, then it might be very difficult for you to meet the conditions that allow you to make a pre-order for this bundle. But this is meant for the fans. This is meant for longtime fans, for those who are nostalgic for this era of PlayStation, when this color scheme was a reminder of just when you played the older PlayStation consoles and all of the memories associated with that. This is all about nostalgia, and so it makes sense to prioritize those who have at least, dozens of hours of PlayStation runtime between 2014 and September of 2024. It makes sense to prioritize sort of customers who've already been with the PlayStation ecosystem, and even within those boundaries, it's not that strict. If you've been playing PlayStation within the last couple months prior to pre-orders for the 30th Anniversary Edition going up, or hell, even within the last few days and weeks prior to pre-orders going up, then you've already kind of met the requirements. And so, even for newer PlayStation customers, it wasn't that difficult for them to pre-order this if they really wanted to. The fact that even after all this time, PlayStation is still getting it wrong baffles me, because you look at how, for example, Valve handled pre-orders for the Steam Deck when that first launched, and all the security measures they knew to implement, and this being their first major kind of console launch. That's a handheld PC, but you get the idea. Like that kind of product launch where they knew there was going to be mass demand. How prepared Valve was for this situation was mighty impressive, and I thought, this would set the standard for future situations like these when supply is low and demand is high, especially when supply is as low as the 30th Anniversary bundle for PS5 Pro. Again, 12,300 units. So for those who don't remember, what Valve did was set certain requirements for the first wave of pre-order reservations. Buyers needed a Steam account used to make a purchase before June 2021 to be eligible within the first 48 hours of pre-order reservations opening up. Accounts would be also limited to one Steam Deck per Steam account. And also, each Steam account was locked down to one model that you placed $5 on to ensure you had a reservation. So all these little layers that ensured that you were an individual human and made it very difficult to make a bunch of accounts that met very human conditions and made it in turn very difficult for this stuff to be scalped en masse. Like there were some that were scalped, obviously, but it could have been far worse had Steam or had Valve not implemented some of these security measures. And it's simple stuff. It's very logical stuff. It's very common sense stuff. And so the fact that this hasn't become the standard for, when they release a bundle that is only 12,300 units in supply, it's baffling. You're dangling this carrot in front of the nostalgic, the old school, the longtime PlayStation fans, and then you're kind of screwing them over by empowering the scalpers, who will then exploit that nostalgia and that love for PlayStation to make a profit. And it's Sony and PlayStation paving the road to this, allowing this through their lack of foresight in the security measures that they need to implement to ensure stuff like this doesn't happen. If this has happened to this degree, then the least you can do, Sony and PlayStation, is to make more units, especially for a product that is this special, that literally has etched on it a number that says which unit out of the limited supply it is. I mean, just like, I get that you did the whole like blank out of 12,300 units, but whatever, like increase that cap for the next batch and make 12,000 more. Hell, make like 100,000. I don't know, like make enough for the rest of us. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Or at the very least, sell the plates separately so we can at the very least replicate the bundle experience by making individual purchases that will inevitably cost significantly less than, you know, the $3,000 to $6,000 on average that's being demanded here on the gray market. Going back to Valve and the way they handle things, Valve also handled the limited edition release of the Steam Deck OLED edition really well. There's one particular edition that had that translucent look with some of the orange highlights. With that, they implemented certain requirements where your account needed to be in good standing. You need to be in certain regions. Your account needs to have made a purchase on Steam before November of 2023, and only one unit may be purchased per account. That made it so that those limited editions would, for the most part, go to paying customers who are willing to pay that extra for Valve products because of their love for the products and services that they've provided. And so it feels like they were respectful towards the fact that these limited editions should go to those customers instead of making a shit show out of it, where what should have been kind of a thank you to customers and kind of a way to express that love for the nostalgia of PlayStation, instead making it so that those customers would feel burned by PlayStation in their lack of handling of the safety measures, and making it so that they actually have to jump through hoops or just kind of have to be burned by extreme pricing and a shady gray market to attain something that is deeply desired by the folks that this product is meant to appeal to. I really hope that this step that they took for the pre-orders in Japan for the PS5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition bundle indicates at least some learning for future product releases, whether it's collector's editions of mass market products or with future console launches like the PlayStation 6. I hope it's not a shit show like this, where we won't have a situation like the PS5 launch where they were literally impossible to obtain unless you went through the gray market and paid prices that were marked up double, triple, quadruple. Like, I would have loved to own this, but I'm not paying $3,000 to $4,000 for this shit, you know what I mean? Like, I this would have been so nice to have, and I feel bummed that I'm unable to do so unless I decide to feed the scalper market, which I fucking refuse to do. So yeah, I hope companies just get better about this and stop with the ridiculously limited supplies. And if you're going to have ridiculously limited supplies, then make sure that all of those go to customers, at least the vast majority of those, instead of opening things up for scalpers to take advantage of stuff like this. At the very least, that's one man's take and one man's frustration surrounding this product that I would have desired, that I still desire, but is just not something that I can obtain through official channels anymore. And it's frustrating to see just how many of these units went to shady third-party entities with nefarious intent. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the PlayStation 5 Pro 30th Anniversary Edition handling as far as like pre-orders and sales are concerned. And if you have one yourself, well, I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope it's worth the wait and the nostalgia and the very rare collector kind of status that it has. But anyway, share your thoughts on all this in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.